Realtree's Midwest Whitetail is brought to you by Cabela's, Cuddyback, America's Best Bowstrings, Drake Non-Typical, Easton Arrows, Frigid Forage, Fuse, Grizzly Coolers, Hoyt, Hoyman Tree Saws, Lone Wolf Tree Stands, Nikon, Ozonics, Redneck Blinds, RTP Outdoors, Spot Hog Releases, Wasp Archery, Viking Solutions, and Realtree.
There he is. Oh, there he is. Oh.
There's another behind him. Well, today is August 31st, and we are basically 1 week out from our early velvet hunt that we had this year here in southern Tennessee. Now, we're on a farm today that, you guys are familiar with, but this is what I call the Big River Farm. This will be my 3rd year on this farm. We've got history with really one decent deer here. I just didn't feel like he was a good enough deer for me to really come in here and pressure him in that velvet hunt, and I just didn't feel like I knew enough about what he was doing, so I just played it safe and stayed out. So we're in here today, and I've been doing some research and listening to what I think is one of the best guys that I know of about buck bedding, and that's Dan Infalt. I've listened to this guy. He's got a bunch of good information out there, and I think everybody that hunt mature deer needs to hear this information. So what it is, we've got a little small block of timber right here, and Dan Infalt talks about the places that you never go on your farm, and this is one of those places. And I didn't really think about it until you start doing this research and see things. Well, sure enough, we're coming into this block of timber. We're going to walk the fence line, check for crossing trails, see where they may be crossing the fence. And sure enough, 3 bucks jumped up out of here. One of them seemed to be a pretty good deer. It was hard. We didn't get eyes on him. But, and sure enough, they're bedded right here. I mean, it's by the script. I mean, that's what they're doing. So now we just got to figure out how to get in here and hunt these deer. So y'all just follow along with us. We'll get in here and we're going to really nail down these beds and then come up with a plan on how to kill these deer. Drove that ranger all the way down. They seen us come right across there in that ranger, and they laid there. Figure out what's up on the way when they ain't here. You'll catch them when they come back here. That's the key, is we know that they're here. Alright, so where we're at now is, we'll kind of show you an overview of this property to kind of give you an idea of what we're talking about. But we've got a small block of timber where we just found their beds. So what's the next thing you look for? You look for the closest food source to that bedding. Well, there's a fence row that goes in between that block of woods and leads to another block of woods. So we walk the fence row, find exactly where the deer crossed a while ago that we jumped up out of their bed, kept following the fence, and we find oak trees, and all of them are loaded with acorns. This is the closest food source to where they're bedding. It's probably 150, 200 yards from where they were just laying. Those big deer are just not going to move that much. They can get to this food source and get back to their bed and never be seen unless you're in the right spot. So the way this farm lays, with a south wind, I'm facing south now with a south wind. The wind's coming in this direction. We just found a huge ditch that runs right up through here. Bulletproof access. I can come in from the north on this farm, walk right in. I can walk right up this ditch. Bam, there's my tree. And I've got perfect shots to where they're crossing this ditch, shots to the food. I mean, it's textbook. Okay, so scouting mission 1 was a definite success. We've definitely identified one for sure set to hang and hunt in the right conditions, and identified a second area that is going to require a little bit more investigation to find that right tree. But we definitely found the information that we came to look for. We followed the facts, and the facts didn't lie today. So I encourage all of you guys, I mean, if you haven't thought about it this way, I know I never thought about it until I came across this information, and it's unbelievable how true it is, and how these mature deer bed in these areas, and they're bedding there for a particular reason. They're not just walking through and laying down whenever they feel like it. They're going to certain spots and bedding there for a reason, and it's always, you've got to factor in everything, the food, the wind. So you know, if you haven't looked it up, check it out. Very good information. This is free information. Any of us, we're always looking for new ways to learn new stuff, and we definitely learned something today, and hopefully this is going to pay off. So hopefully as we follow the story along this year, I'll capitalize on one of these bucks, and we'll know that it all paid off. So stick with us, let's see what happens.
It is Saturday, September the 8th, and it is the opening of archery season here in Georgia. We're getting ready to shoot a few arrows, and then we'll load up on the cart and head toward our first sit of the year. David and I have 3 pieces of property to hunt this year. I get to hunt the first day of the year, lucky me. But unfortunately, we have a south wind today. It's one of our least common prevailing winds here in Georgia. So we don't have a lot of stands for it. The stand that we're going to go to is on a little bit of clover. We've got some beautiful sawtooth oaks in front of us. We know that there's several 140, 150 inch class bucks that are in the area. Normally a lot of does. So we've got our faces painted to avoid having to wear the hot mask, but still keep us somewhat concealed. And hopefully we'll at least see some deer. Just excited to get in the tree. First sit of the year. It's always kind of like Christmas.
It has been a great sit for opening day. We have seen deer since we got settled. There's still deer near. It's starting to get a little dark. The sun's just now getting behind the trees. It's about that time of day for Big Boy to come strolling out. Haven't seen him yet. We're going to keep sitting. Hopefully he comes out. Well, there's a bobcat at the end of the trees. So, we'll see y'all